crazy, and that's how it goes. You never ever know about the NWO. Deep behind enemy lines for October 20th, 2020. Disasters may make us better prepared for the big one. Doomsday, everyone. Yeah, more earth changes and geopolitical upheaval, and another update to the New World Order from the No Link News Desk. Move over, harp-tards. You'll not see this earthquake prediction or earthquake news from Doomsday Dumbass Disinfo Dutchie's magic 3D earthquake crystal ball first. So in case you miss it, or you want to wait around for sloppy seconds from Dumbass Disinfo Doomsday Dutchie, let's get to the science of things today. Today's flavor of the day, yeah, the Michigan flavor of the day is wedding cake crumble. Very tasty, very delicious, and I must say that back in 1998, I was listening to the radio show Coast to Coast AM with Art Bell, and I heard Mitch Petros. Man, he turned the global warming community and Agenda 21 idiots upside down with his. I mean, he turned their whole freaking game upside down and destroyed their whole global warming scam with this space weather equation or space weather earthquake forecast equation. Yeah. Space weather earthquake forecast equation, Dutchie. Matter of fact, talking about Dutchie, somebody left a comment and said I was distracted. It was distracting from the information, me being fixated on dumbass disinfo Doomsday Dutchie. And I want to just kind of clear things up with all those out there who got their heads, all them harp-tards that got their heads stuck up their ass don't have a clue why I'm fixated on Dutchie. But let me just say, the dumbass motherfucker ruined my fucking channel. The motherfucker, I guess didn't like what he saw on my channel, so he had to fucking put copyright strikes and flag my channel for shit. So it goes without saying, I mean, the dumbass motherfucker, cost me a lot of money to get a fucking lawyer to try to get these copyright strikes so I didn't lose my fucking channel. I've lost 2 goddamn channels to this motherfucking scumbag, and the scumbag keeps fucking pulling out and making fucking more fucking lies, more fucking bullshit, and then when I fucking point out and fucking call him out on it, I get fucking harassed by this fucking bully, this fucking internet bully, fucking try to take my fucking channel down. And you wonder why I got a fucking fixation with this son of a bitch, huh? Well, fuck you and all you motherfucking scumbags and you fucking harp-tards out there who got your heads up your ass, don't have a clue what that motherfucker on his channel does to other people, okay? Piss me off, you motherfuckers leave me out here to hold. I have nobody fucking supporting my ass, but that motherfucker can fucking go around and bully everybody off on the internet. Fuck you. Now, back to the news today. We're going to talk about Doomsday for Doomsday Dutchie, because he's got his head up his ass. Obviously, we're all getting prepared for the big one. And dumbass Dutchie, well, he's trying to take credit and be the fucking the superstar at predicting the big one. Well, excuse me, but who am I to point out, how many dumbasses are giving Dutchie every click to give him money on YouTube? I don't make no goddamn money trying to fucking expose and blow the whistle on that fraud. But who am I to take all the abuse from his fucking gang of internet bullies who fucking leave comments on my channel fucking threatening me all the fucking time, huh? Piss off, you motherfuckers. That's my fucking clue. Funeral warning. I'm just giving you heads up. Don't piss on my fucking channel and think you're going to get away with it. With your dumbass harp-tard bullshit. Now, back to the news. Today's show is going to include all kinds of shit that dumbass Disinfo Dutchy thinks he's the fucking expert on. Knows it all. Huh. I'm going to some fucking show him, don't I?
First, the pandemic, then the violent protests, and the wildfires. So what's next? A lot of people still fear a major earthquake is not too far off. K2's Joe English is live in Northeast Portland. So Joe, have recent disaster-like scenarios changed the way people are prepping for what's known as the big one?
Well, you know, the Great American Shakeout happens tomorrow. It's an annual event that helps people practice and get ready for a big quake, just like the work, say, for example, that's been done on the Burnside Bridge. Recently finished, it helps make it safer in a quake. Turns out planning, preparation, and practice may be what will keep you alive.
Every disaster is a little different, and so is how we respond. For a wildfire, you have to get out. For a pandemic, you have to stay in. An earthquake, kind of a combination.
When we do get an earthquake, it's going to be a really, really big one.
People have been prepping for a quake big enough to flood the coast, knock down bridges, and shut down cities for years. Emergency managers say now is no time to stop.
I think that people have forgotten a little bit about it because the wildfires and COVID is so immediate. We don't want people to panic and run around and be injured during an earthquake. We want them to drop and cover and hold on. And when you practice that, when the shaking starts, you'll more than likely respond correctly.
It's not likely you'll see a run on the grocery and hardware stores when the big one hits because you may not even be able to get there. Experts say now's the time to take time getting the stuff you need and laying out what to do with your family and in your neighborhood when the shaking starts.
Now, we'll have more on how to plan, what to have on hand on K2 News at 11 tonight and on K2.com, and more on the Great America Shakeout to see who's taking part, if it's getting the attention it deserves. In Northeast Portland, Joe English, K2 News.
See you at 11 o'clock tonight, Joe. Thank you.
All right, Joe, giving it attention that it deserves. Hold on. Just a second. Freaking computer locked up again. All right, moving on over here. I think it's quite interesting to get quite noted inside the fact that the attention it deserved to give Disinfo Dumbass Dutchies when I remember back in the day, that dumbass Doomsday frickin' snake oil salesman was selling underground doomsday bunkers. And I got harassed by his boss, Scott, at the Bunker TV guy, who was complaining about Dutchy. Yeah, you wonder why I got a burr up my ass? Because Dutchy's out there trying to sell bunkers. He's making a frickin' commission off of selling doom shit on YouTube to people so that Scotty could make, customer get phone calls and sell underground doomsday bunkers. Well, from what I understood, from what Scott told me, was that Doomsday Dumbass Dutchy, well, he was getting, a cut, and he was going to get himself a free underground doomsday bunker when the shit all hit the fan, when doomsday was going to hit. You know what I'm saying? Yet there, dummy, disinfo Dutchy, because, hey, we're going to go in with this news and bring you up to speed about Doomsday
Possible
Dutchy.
post-election violence.
Inside Edition is taking you inside a doomsday shelter where dozens of Americans will take cover come Election Day.
Our members are coming here, quite a few of them, and so we'll have the election returns on.
Drew Miller, a former Air Force intelligence officer, is founder of Fortitude Ranch. Accommodations range from what's deemed luxury rooms to economy class.
So just to save space, you put the bed up and then just bring it down when you want to use it.
You can also take refuge underground where essential items such as rice, beans, and flour are stored for those who think Doomsday is just around the corner. Also stockpiled, plenty of weapons and ammunition.
The weapons here are our weapons, staff weapons, but all our members are encouraged to stockpile weapons.
Fortitude Ranch is located in secret locations, one in southern Colorado and the other is in West Virginia. A yearly membership fee starts at $1,000 per person. Should there be a national crisis, all members are allowed to stay for the duration. Kiki Bandela, a Colorado insurance agent, has been a member for 18 months.
To me, it just kind of struck me as a really great insurance policy. It's something in the back of my mind that if the need arises, that we can go out there.
Let's hope she won't need it.
So, it seems kind of funny. I would like to, have Doomsday Disinfo Dutchie, who is selling bunkers to people, that during an earthquake, the big one, what are they going to do in an underground tomb? You tell me, man. Come on. Seriously. You want to be freaking bounced around like a rag doll in your Doomsday bunker, Dutchie? Is that what you're trying to get the people to do? Buy bunkers and get ragdolled around in their bunkers? I think so. But this exclusive news is really the Doomsday shit Dutchie I don't think will forecast on his magic 3D earthquake crystal ball, because wildfire scenario that he was promoting, it doesn't include the mudslides that are coming there this winter there, man, buddy. Hey, who am I to point out exclusively here that what you see is going to be aerial footage of damage from the California wildfires. Now, if you haven't seen doomsday scenes yet like these in 2020, Dutchie, and still misleading them on about your little hotspot little locations on the volcano eruption footprints, well, now we're going to show you things that are really going to get scary here in just a moment. Because what you see on this scarred earth, more earth changes, hey, pretty much affirms once again Mitch Petro's space weather equation. Pretty much affirms it. Pretty much lays out like I told you. You never know. Maybe the dry conditions, or was a shift in the jet stream current. Ooh. But who am I telling out there them global warming nuts, huh? But anyways, back to the news here on this October 20th morning. But yesterday, once again, the epicenters of COVID-19 and shootings and homicides and all that other stuff. Well, the recent wildfires in Santa Cruz Mountains create an unprecedented hazard. Now, when rain comes and snow comes, we're going to see doomsday scenarios like you've never seen before. Where's your underground bunkers at now, Dutchie? Where you hiding at?
And very dangerous threat for those that are living in the CZU burn zone in Santa Cruz County. Leaders say that mudslides will be imminent and evacuations will likely play out in the winter storms. Action News 8 reporter Phil Gomez has more on why they're already sounding the alarm now.
It's not your average rainfall that worries Santa Cruz County leaders. It's the rain that comes in heavy bursts over a short period of time. The concern is so great that plans on where evacuation centers will be located are already in the works. The county used the 2018 fatal mudslide in Santa Barbara County, where 23 died, as the basis for their concern.
Right now, we're focusing on evacuation. So we want people to get ready and know that there's really nothing that you can do at this point but to get out of the way.
It's been suggested that preventative native plants or hydrated seed mud balls be dropped in the burn zone to help, but that would be impossible to cover 86,000 acres of burned land, among other things.
The rain can still percolate down, hit that water repellent layer, and then that slab of soil can still move down slope as a mudslide or debris flow.
Geologists are mapping out areas that are the biggest threat in the Santa Cruz Mountains after the CZU lightning fire and the properties that lie in its path. In Santa Cruz County, Phil Gomez, KSBW, Action News 8.
Okay, there you go inside. Doomsday Dutchie. Mudslides he ain't forecasted yet. Oh, but I'm sure unprecedented earthquakes and unprecedented rain when the ground shakes is going to lead to one heck of a doomsday scenario. They are calling it. I'm just saying they're calling it Doomsday Dutchie. Yeah, not you, okay? You're the dumbass that ain't forecasting this stuff. But hey, who am I to point out? You've got a fixation on the USGS. You got a fixation on my channel because you got to flag it and try to take it down because your dumbass and your intellectual property and copyright infringement crap is pretty much, trying to make you the internet bully of YouTube. Who am I pointing this dumbass shit out? But needless to say, anyone else want to step up and complain about my problems with dumbass Dutchie and his little frickin' game of trying to take my channel off the internet? No. Yeah. He whines about frickin' trolls all the time. And then I remember saying I was responsible for it all too. Thanks for I'm flattered there, dumbass Dutchie. I'm flattered you're blaming me for people coming after you. Like all them government snoops. Yeah, and spooks. You better be looking over your shoulder over. Because you've stirred up a hornet's nest when it comes to your dumbass fucking hoaxes and earthquake fakery. But who am I to point this shit out? Now, moving into and down through in love with all this stuff. You can't make this stuff up, man. Just saying. You just can't make this stuff up in the news.
Melting Alaska glacier could soon unleash mega tsunami. An unprecedented mega tsunami could be caused by a melting Alaska glacier, scientists have warned. The concerned experts claim the catastrophic event could even happen within the next 12 months if melting ice triggers a landslide of unstable rocks. If it's not that soon, they think the mega tsunami is likely to happen within the next 2 decades. The potential disaster was warned about in May by scientists who wrote an open letter to the Alaska Department of Natural Resources, ADNR. They're worried about an area called Prince William Sound along the south coast of Alaska in the U.S. This region has seen glacier retreat, which has led to instability on the slopes of a mountain in Berry Arm above the Berry Glacier. The scientists wrote, "We, a group of scientists with expertise in climate change, landslides, and tsunami hazards, have identified an unstable mountain slope above the toe of Berry Glacier in Berry Arm, 60 miles east of Anchorage, that has the potential to fail and generate a tsunami. This tsunami could impact areas frequented by tourists, fishing vessels, and hunters, potentially hundreds of people at one time. We believe that it is possible that this landslide-generated tsunami will happen within the next year, and likely within 20 years. Satellite images have shown how ice melt on the glacier has left a large rocky area exposed. It could mean a slow-moving landslide is already taking place, but if a large part of the mountain slope gave way, it could have dire consequences. Prince William Sound is a remote area, but its surrounding waters are often frequented by boats, including cruise ships. The researchers said landslides have set off giant waves elsewhere in Alaska and Greenland during the past decade. In Tonfeard, Icy Bay, Alaska, a landslide that began moving slowly decades ago suddenly failed in October 2015. The resulting tsunami reached elevations of 633 feet near the landslide and 35 feet 15 miles away. At Feard, West Greenland, a landslide in June 2017 similarly produced a tsunami that killed 4 people and destroyed a large portion of the town of Nuugatsiaq, 20 miles away. Surviving villagers still have not returned because a nearby slope is deforming and threatening to fail. The unstable slope in Berry Arm is much bigger than either of these examples and thus has the potential to produce a larger tsunami that could have impacts throughout Prince William Sound. A 1958 landslide in the region resulted in what's often referred to as the tallest tsunami wave in modern times. It was said to have reached 1,720 feet tall, and the impact was compared to an atomic bomb by eyewitnesses. Geophysicist Chun-Li Dai from The Ohio State University told NASA's Earth Observatory it was hard to believe the numbers at first. Based on the elevation of the deposit above the water, the volume of land that was slipping, and the angle of the slope, we calculated that a collapse would release 16 times more debris and 11 times more energy than Alaska's 1958 Lataia Bay landslide and mega tsunami. Since the release of the open letter earlier this year, further analysis has noted little change. Ongoing monitoring will continue so that scientists can spot warning signs of a landslide and subsequent tsunami before it happens. These scientists have predicted that the tsunami could cause issues over 10 miles away, so a pre-warning could save lives.
Imagine that, dumbass Dutchie put out a tsunami warning for the Pacific Ocean yesterday. He warned people over a 1.5 foot high tsunami wave. Excuse me, tidal wave. Yeah, okay, Dutchie. You're out to lunch when it comes to knowing about the big one, or the extinctions events coming. Yeah. Imagine that, huh? We here at No Link News have already tried to point out
Extinction is very much,
the
on
past
our minds.
climate
It is
extinction
sort of an
events.
accepted fact of our current age that extinction is happening. We know there are species like the dodo bird, the passenger pigeon, the Tasmanian tiger, or the quagga that have gone extinct. They are. Can you see everything all right, Chris?
Looks great to me.
Okay, so yeah, talking about the End-Permian Mass Extinction and how it was kind of the end of the world. Extinction is very much, on our minds. It is sort of an accepted fact of our current age that extinction is happening. We know there are species like the dodo bird, the passenger pigeon, the Tasmanian tiger, or the quagga that have gone extinct. They are totally extirpated, and short of some remarkable sort of advances in cloning, they are not coming back. So it can be a little hard to imagine that extinction as a concept is a relatively recent addition. Yeah, talking about the End-Permian Mass Extinction and how it was kind of the end of the world. Extinction is very much, on our minds. It is sort of an accepted fact of our current age that extinction is happening. We know there are species like the dodo bird, the passenger pigeon, the Tasmanian tiger, or the quagga that have gone extinct. They are totally extirpated, and short of some remarkable sort of advances in cloning, they are not coming back. It can be a little hard to imagine that extinction as a concept is a relatively recent addition.
Yeah. I'm looking for. What happened to it?
To human understanding.
Oh, okay.
Really only slightly older than concepts like evolution and around the same age as things like cells. So for much of Western thought, at least, there was the idea of the Scala Naturae, or the great chain of being, which went back to originally to Plato and Aristotle, these Greek philosophers, but was really cemented during the Renaissance age as the idea that, you know, there is this hierarchy of things on Earth, from minerals to plants to animals to humans, and then up to a benevolent creator who would not allow any of his creations to pass from the Earth, basically to go extinct. And that it was impossible for any entire group of animals or plants to disappear entirely from the Earth. Everything was sort of in perfect balance. Now, things like fossils were known, so it was known that there was life in the past. But for the most part, they were things like shells that were just thought to be like older versions of animals that were still alive. Fossils have been known by, you know, peoples of all inhabited continents since time immemorial, but for the most part, they were not recognized as being extinct organisms. Things like these fossil gastropods here, you can see it and say, oh, okay, well, that's a shell that lives in the ocean somewhere, and maybe it's just somewhere slightly different. Things started to change in the late 17th century, where you started to re-identify some structures that previously were considered inorganic as fossils. Famously, you have this image by the Danish naturalist Nicholas Steno from 1667, where he recognized that these structures on the bottom there, these triangular structures, which were called glossopetri by classical scholars, were in fact fossil shark's teeth. So previously, these were considered, they were called tongue stones. People had a lot of different, often fanciful explanations for where they came from. The famed Roman scholar Pliny the Elder thought that they fell from the moon. Other naturalists believed that they just grew naturally within the earth. Steno's contemporary, German naturalist Athanasius Kircher, thought that they were the result of a lapidifying force diffusing through the geocosm, that they were the earth itself was sort of growing teeth. All of this, you know, we know nowadays is very, very wrong, that these were indeed fossils. This is some of the first evidence that there were completely lost species. But still, you know, we have sharks today. So a lot of the arguments were that if we found a fossil, you know, there must still be some representatives of that species somewhere on Earth. And especially from sort of a Eurocentric viewpoint at this time, where sort of like broader exploration of the world is starting to happen, and new species are being found everywhere, you could always argue that, oh, okay, we just haven't found the part of the world where this species is still around. As some examples of that, also in sort of in the late 1600s, you have on the left this giant nautilus presented to the Royal Society in England by the pioneering microscopist Robert Hooke, much bigger than any modern nautilus. And also nautilus is not known to exist in England, but you can say, okay, these nautiluses live in the deep sea somewhere in the Pacific Ocean. Surely if we search enough, we'll find it. On the right, these giant antlers found by Sir Thomas Molyneux, an Irish physician. He said that they were from a moose. Moose not known to live in Ireland these days, but, you know, moose clearly still in Northern Europe and America. So these are all species that are somewhere out there still in the world. Now, of course, we know that this is not true. These are both extinct species. The giant nautilus is an ammonite from the Mesozoic era. The supposed moose is this animal Megaloceros, a type of giant deer often called the Irish elk. But back then, sort of at the beginning of paleontology, this was an acceptable explanation. Thomas Jefferson also got in the mix with this fossil. So Jefferson, has worn many hats in American history: president, philosopher, slave owner, and paleontologist, one of the first paleontologists working in the U.S. And he was given these claws that were found in a cave in what is now West Virginia, and he named them megalonyx, which in Greek simply means big claw. They are huge. And he argued that they were from a gigantic species of lion that, in keeping with this idea of great chain of being, was still alive somewhere on Earth. Now, of course, we don't know of any really gigantic lions anywhere, but at this point, a lot of the western interior of the United States was still unexplored by colonial settlers, and he thought it might still be out there. And indeed, he asked Lewis and Clark when they were exploring the Louisiana Purchase to keep an eye peeled for megalonyx, because he thought it was still somewhere in the U.S. And this is actually part of a broader fight he had with assorted gentleman scientists in Europe who argued that the American fauna was sort of depauperate and sort of weak and pitiful compared to the old world animals. And so TJ was like, no, there's a gigantic lion somewhere out there that is bigger than anything in Europe or Africa or Asia. Unfortunately for him, he got this pretty wrong. There was an amazing animal that lived in North America, but megalonyx we know is a giant ground sloth that went extinct at the end of the Ice Age. It wasn't a giant lion, but rather a relative of the living tree sloths in South America today. So the idea that there were these animals that were totally lost was really first brought up and then later proven by Georges Cuvier, or to give him his title, the Baron Cuvier, exactly the sort of European noble naturalist that Jefferson hated. But in this case, he was the premier anatomist of his day, definitely one of the founders of paleontology as a science. And something that he noted was that a lot of these, fossils that are being found in the late 1600s and then into the 1700s when he was working, they aren't quite like the living things. So those antlers, they don't quite look like a moose. That shell doesn't quite look like a nautilus. Those claws don't quite look like a lion. And he showed this most extensively in studying the mammoth remains from the Paris Basin. So you can see in this lithograph on the right, he looked very carefully at all the features of these mammoth fossils and showed that they are not just extinct elephants, but they are a different species, a different genus, something that does not exist at all today. And the idea that there were entire sort of species and groups of animals that are missing led to this idea extinction. That led Cuvier to say, all of these facts consistent among themselves and not opposed by any report seem to me to prove the existence of a world previous to ours, destroyed by some kind of catastrophe. This idea of extinction was borne out moving into the 1800s as really weird fossil creatures, clearly unlike anything living today, that didn't require, the anatomical skill of a Cuvier to show that, it's not an elephant. Once they started finding giant reptiles from the Mesozoic era, marine reptiles like this plesiosaurus found by the famous fossil hunter Mary Anning in southern England, flying reptiles like Pterodactylus, this fossil first found in the 1700s, but proven to be an extinct type of reptile by Cuvier in 1800 this is from Bavaria. And of course, the first dinosaurs, things like Iguanodon found in 1823, initially from these very fragmentary remains, but later from complete skeletons in Belgium that showed that there were these whole big groups of organisms that are clearly not present anywhere on Earth. Like we'd know if dinosaurs were out there. So extinction became, basically settled science that it exists in the first half of the 19th century. But there was still a big debate going on as to the mechanisms and the rates behind it. Was, as Cuvier said, extinctions caused by these massive, potentially global catastrophes, be they floods or volcanoes, earthquakes, tsunamis, or, as argued by many prominent geologists of the time, was it more gradual? So Charles Lyell, who was a geologist working at around the same time, he restudied Cuvier's work on the Paris Basin and showed quite conclusively that there's no evidence of a giant flood there. It seems just like the regular geological processes, very slow moving erosion and changes in rivers that we see today, which is called uniformitarianism. And Lyell instead argued that extinction is real, species go extinct, but it's a very gradual process caused by long-term protracted changes in local climate or food availability or competition between or predation between different species, much like we see in the modern day. And this idea really held sway among scientists for 100 years or more after that. That extinction is gradual, it's always going on in the background, but there generally aren't these major catastrophes. However, when you look at the time scale, so this is looking at mostly on the right there, that's the Phanerozoic, that's the age of complex life, which is broken up into the Paleozoic, the Mesozoic, and the Cenozoic eras. The breaks between these eras and periods are mostly based on different animals and plants being alive at those times. So we know there are characteristic types of animals that live in the Paleozoic, and they're different from the ones in the Mesozoic, which are different from the ones in the Cenozoic. And the breaks are actually pretty abrupt at the borders between them, suggesting that it's not just a constant smear of background extinction, but that there are major extinctions, so-called mass extinctions, happening in the fossil record. And this was finally demonstrated rigorously and quantitatively by two American paleontologists, David.
Okay, you never know. I had to take a break there for just a moment and break in here about the mass extinctions event. Many already know, the mayans already figured into the mix. Every 5,200 years, every cycle of the sun, and all these cycles occur every 5,200 years under the cycle of the sun. They've warned us about this stuff was coming. And we are now entering what they claim as the fifth cycle of the sun. No, wait, the fourth cycle of the sun. The next cycle is the fifth cycle. So this is the fourth cycle of the sun. Am I right? Or is this the fifth cycle? 5,200 times 5. Yeah. 52. This is the fifth cycle of the sun. We're entering now this age every 5,200 years. It dates back, 32,000 years ago. And quite interesting enough, this all plays into the extinction, these extinction. So the news, that's why I had to break in here. The news today is breaking all over the internet. Doomsday, dumbass, disinfo, Dutchy. I know he's trying to do good, get people, prepared for the big one and everything like that. I know he's trying to earn a little extra money to buy himself an underground, doomsday bunker. And it all plays into the mix. But the Mayan elders knew, that the fifth element, and that's something we got to point out here. Once again, I'll have to, bring it back all into the mix, bring it back up to speed, how Mitch Petros interviewed the Mayan elders. And he's taken from the Mayan ancient text how all these earth changes and extinction events were attributed to Carlos Barrios. Carlos Barrios was interviewed by Mitch Petros back in the day. And the confusion that dumbass disinfo Dutchie still doesn't want to get through his thick skull is how many people don't understand why the Mayan elders and their traditions of the scope of knowledge included the circulation, the science of cycles, and their cycles of their calendars, the cycles of the sun. And the hieroglyphics and all these conflicting interpretations that dumbass disinfo Dutchies included into the mix of all them harp-tards out there, because the misinformation that he strongly suggests is leading to all this confusion. It's time to set the record straight. That's why I have an issue with dumbass Dutchie. Because he likes to make up stories, he likes to make up lies, and he likes to spread around his bullshit to everybody and make it believe like he's the king of the fucking Doomsday conspiracy. Doomsday conspiracy group, yeah. So he's over there in his little Doomsday conspiracy club, and they're out there making up all this bullshit lies and all this imagination. And they're trying to think, well, I'm doing it in the name of prophecy. But no, they're not. Because Carlos Barrios said the world's going to be transformed. It's not going to end. Even though, as these scientific experts in the know today, I want to point out, they also see how cosmic evolution plays into the mix. That, the world never comes to a complete end. It just transforms itself and evolves and new, like the phoenix bird, and the flames and a new age, a new time. Yeah, that's what they call the New World Order. The new age and the new transition, as we are now passing through this colossal convergence as the Earth travels into the cosmic galactic dark shifts into the galactic dark rift. And all this environmental destruction, social chaos, war, was all prophesied by Carlos Barrios on these ongoing Earth changes. And Mitch Petros titled his scientific research Earth Changes Media back in 1998. And ever since then, I've been pushing it up and putting out and keeping you up all the speed how all these Earth changes play into this Mayan fifth sun cycle of the sun. And now Mitch Petros closed the doors at Earth Changes Media, and you got Ben over at Suspicious Observers, who's picking up and carrying on the torch of light for everybody to see the truth as he destroys dumbass disinfo Dutchie's earthquake forecasting fantasy bullshit lies. So if you want to see any more information, I'm giving you a shout out, Ben. Good job for you out there for picking up and carrying on Mitch Petros' work. Since you obviously made connection with Mitch a long time ago and got it figured out back in 2012 how dumbass Dutchie was destroying the truth community about waking people up of these earth changes and all this stuff. And now Mitch Petros has taken a step back as his new venture was Science of Cycles, and more accurately now this time is no time for gain for dumbass Dutchie to fucking make up lies about getting people for tsunamis that don't even occur. Come on, dude, you haven't seen fucking Aesop's fable and even realized yet, dumbass Dutchie? Come on, man. The boy who cried wolf is not a story to be fucking reckoned with when others are going to come looking for the truth when the big one actually happens. But who am I to point out? Carlos Barrios tells us Humanity will continue, but in a different way. The material world's about to come crumbling down, man. We're going to be living witness of this era of the Mayan calendars and prophecies, and all the prophecies of the world and all the traditions are converging now, and there's no time for games. There's no time for being stroking your ego. Hey, look at me, I can predict 90% of all the earthquakes. No. Carlos Barrios told Mitch Petros, and told me too, because I read Mitch Petros' newsletters when he interviewed Carlos Barrios. We are no longer in the world of the fourth sun, but yet now, since 2012, we are now entering the world of the fifth sun. So the next 5,200 years, this time in between the transition of time, there's a colossal global convergence of environmental destruction. And Carlos Barrios tells us the indigenous have the calendars and have known how to accurately interpret it. Not Doomsday, dumbass disinfo Dutcher. He hadn't interpreted the calendar correctly yet one bit. So the Mayan calendar's compression of time, seasons, and cycles have proven itself to be so vast and sophisticated, and once again, this extinction news in the mix today. Yes, once again, Mayan elders nail it again. The Maya understands 17 different calendars, such as the Tolscan and the Cholkis, some of them charting time accurately over a span of more than 10 million years. All was predicted by the mathematical cycles of the Mayan calendars. And Mitch Petros, his Earth Changes Media and Science of Cycles research and information accurately documented this transition as we start the world of the fifth sun. So, in the sacred tree of life, remembered in all the world's spiritual traditions, some observers now see that the alignment in 2012, for the first time in 26,000 years, the sacred tree of life is accelerating now, and it will continue to accelerate. So to date, in this news today, the North and South poles are breaking up. The magnetic Earth is about ready to reverse. The magnetic field's about ready to reversal. They're calling it, yeah. So anyhow, I've been studying and following and tracking these pole shifts, the weakening of the Earth's magnetic field from sunspots and solar flares as we now enter the solar cycle 25, this delicate moment of time. We can see, as we see, economically, a global crash. And if you don't pay attention to this material world being dissolved, and the North Poles and the South Poles flipping on its axis, they're already claiming the water levels are going to rise, the oceans are going to flood, and all this other global warming shit you just seen, the tsunamis from the global warming glacier ice melts. And now you're seeing the fires in California and the mudslides coming. In 2020, more recent now, as we can now respect the Mayan elders. You know what I'm saying? They delivered this simple message, and now it's 2020, and now it's time to call out all them dumbasses out there that denied that we're about ready to enter the fifth cycle of the sun. And he wants, and Carlos Barrios wants you to understand that denial of this materialism world you're living in. See, there's a fifth element that's breaking down and playing an important key role in all this. This dark power they call dark matter. The fifth Mayan element, they call it, mysterious Mayan fifth element. So Carlos said the emerging area of the fifth sun would call attention to this overlooked fifth element. Whereas you have the other four traditional elements of earth, air, fire, and water. They've dominated various epochs of the past, and there will be a fifth element to be reckoned with in the time of the fifth sun. Carlos Barrios, the Mayan elder, this is his words. That element is called ether. And then a dictionary defines ether as a hypothetical substance supposed to occupy all space, postulated to account for the propagation of electromagnetic radiation through space. And this confirms Mitch Petro's 1998 space weather earthquake forecast equation. The charged particles, the cosmic rays, the highly energetic radioactive energy defined between space and space, Carlos Barrios suggests that the alignment of these charged particles from the solar system of our sun, our galaxy, and the Milky Way, just like Mitch Petros outlined in his cosmic ray, his galaxy sun Earth connection, these charged particles from the sun and the solar sunspots and the center of the Milky Way, the black hole, the beam of energy, this ethereal element represents spiritual energy. And this element of the fifth sun is celestial, and in context with the polarities of joining with the darkness of the black hole. Right now, this realm of darkness is not interested in you, but it seeks to unbalance Earth. And so you must be ready for this transition of dark matter, or the Mayan mysterious fifth element, because needless to say, this negative energy, everyone lives on the positive side, right? As prophesied, yeah. But who might point out the dark energy, the dark matter, and the dark side. You better meditate, everyone. No need to hide in deep underground bunkers, because you never know what's coming. What's coming in a couple weeks? Better speak now, or forever hold your peace, dumbass disinfo Dutchie, because obviously in this layered mystery of intrigue and disinformation, I just want to point out, well, you didn't forecast this earthquake that could be coming in in a few days, they're saying. Yep, Mitch Petros was on top of this when he wrote the book Solar Rain, and part of this mysterious fifth element included in the mix. How dark matter, well, they claim to be, is the glue that binds the universe together. And if there is something in this whole interesting shit, is the fact asteroids, meteors, and meteorites, and, well, you know, how about those big-ass meteorite craters out in Arizona, for example, that wiped out the dinosaurs they claimed? What about a big extinction event like that coming in 2020. Is that enough drama for you, dumbass Doomsday Dutchie?
Yeah, it's been kind of a rocky year, and in true 2020 spirit, apparently we're not done yet.
Scientists say a refrigerator-sized asteroid is flying towards Earth at more than 24,000 miles per second. And ready for this? It's expected to skim past the Earth the day before Election Day. But don't worry, it won't actually harm us. So if the world ends before 2021, it won't be because of this.
Oh, isn't that hilarious? It won't, huh? But it's in the news, isn't it? In the mix. Easily confusing enough. Yeah. Will it lead to, will it trigger tremors from meteors and fireballs exploding in the sky?
And famed astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson issued a dire warning: an asteroid may be headed for our planet, and more specifically, the U.S., before Election Day. Tyson posted a photograph of a refrigerator-sized rock hurling toward us at more than 25,000 miles an hour, but he added that it probably won't harm us. He has confirmed the asteroid could hit Earth on November 2nd. It said there was a 1% chance it would hit the U.S.
Doomsday equation. Super top secret mathematical vault inside a volcano.
Oh, Doomsday.
Starburst, unexplainably juicy.
And another big story.
All right, there you go. Another big story. You never know. Asteroid on path to possibly hit Earth on the night before Election Day. Doomsday, dumbass Dutchie. Where are you with this earthquake forecast on your magic 3D earthquake crystal ball? I'm Never Know, Patriot Broadcasting and Liberty Tree Radio field reporter number 8,512. And as always, God bless the Republic. Death to the New World Order. We are on the march. The Empire is on the run. We shall prevail.
But first tonight, in what could be a watershed moment in the US election, this week the New York Post splashed with news of a trove of emails detailing Joe Biden's son's business dealings overseas. The emails revealed Hunter Biden had